Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Nice.
So yeah, this is take two.
Take two.
Yeah, I told you off camera, but I'm moving to Shonan.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited.
Yeah. Don't tell the station because you'll get stalkers and.
Like, it's Odawara. Odawara, man.
I live in the mountains. Come find me.
So our new apartment is actually not an apartment; it's a tent in the forest.
Yeah, a tent
on the
in
mountains.
The forest. You're gonna raise kids there.
Yeah,
nice.
Just want a real natural environment.
Nice.
But it's so great. We're super close to the beach, so I can't even tell you. I'm literally going to the beach like every day.
Yeah, dude.
I'm so excited.
I might have to visit you sometimes. I miss the beach so much.
Yeah. Dude, like we can just hop over to Enoshima.
Seriously, man.
Or Hakone. Hakone's super close. Kamakura, like everything that I want to go to is like right there.
Dude, I get that. Yeah, I'm going to be moving to Yokohama later this year, but if I were single and I had things my way, I would want to move to Shonan. Just like I miss the beach so much.
Yeah.
But today we were going to talk about I told you how in our video when we talked about anime and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people were talking about baseball and like, "Oh, I didn't know Americans didn't care about baseball so much."
It's really funny because that's like one of the first things that I when I came over to Japan, like a lot of my friends and my host family and everyone, a lot of them all wanted to take me to baseball games.
Yeah.
Especially being in Osaka, you know, because like, you know, the Hanshin Tigers are like really big there. And Osaka is kind of like considered a baseball city, kind of like them and Hiroshima, I think, are like the two big baseball cities. So yeah, when I went there, they're just like, "Yeah, we got to go to a baseball game. Isn't that great? We'll go to a baseball." I'm like, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, sure, we'll go to a baseball game. And to be fair, I do think that Japanese baseball games are more fun than American.
Oh, really? What makes you say? I've actually never been to a baseball game here.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, one thing that makes them more fun is, have you been to a football game in America?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to see how American you actually are.
Sorry, man. I'm not very American, but I've done that.
But yeah, you go to a football game in America, and I'm talking about American football, not soccer. Everyone's drunk.
Yeah.
And screaming.
Yeah, right.
Right? And that's pretty much what baseball is here in Japan. Like when you go to a baseball game, everyone's drunk and screaming.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like a similar atmosphere. So it is more fun, but I still think baseball is boring to watch.
Yeah. So we have to kind of talk about our backgrounds a little bit because it's a little different, I think. Because you come from Seattle, which is Mariners town. Yeah. And I come from Boston, which is Red Sox town. So we automatically are better.
Yeah, but I mean at baseball, not in football.
In a lot of things. Oh, dude, do you remember the
time that your team cheated? Yes, dude, I remember that.
On, man. No. Just okay. We can talk about the Super Bowl later with the Patriots versus like the Seahawks.
Cheaters.
I really didn't know what to do there because both of these teams are close to my heart.
Absolute cheaters,
dude. I just got to tell you about that game. It was so funny because like. We were there for like hours watching the game, and I went outside to get some fresh air.
Yeah.
And I was walking around the neighborhood just because we were inside and there was like a lot of like heating going on. The air was really dry. I went outside when the key play happened near the end. And I just remember being outside, and then I hear shouts from all of the houses in the neighborhood. It wasn't just like one. It was like everyone's like, "Ah!" And I'm like, "Oh crap! I missed something big." But the truth is though is that even though like even in Boston, which is like home of the Red Sox, baseball isn't what it used to be.
Oh really?
Yeah. Okay. Because it's not as popular as it used to be. I remember when I first moved to the States, I still feel like baseball was fairly popular. Like I went to baseball games with my dad sometimes.
Yeah, I would agree. My dad he was a huge Mariners fan, and he watched the Mariners play all the time. He listened to sports radio every day, like in the morning and the evening, and he actually took trips to Arizona to watch them do training.
Really? Wow! So he's like a hardcore fan.
Yeah, he's a super hardcore fan. And so like baseball was really prevalent in my house. Like I went to tons of Mariners games when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I think after they moved to the new the new place. Was it Safeco Field?
Yeah.
But it's a different name now. It's like
Quest Field?
No, it's like T-Mobile Field.
Oh, they changed it? Okay.
No, I think it's changed again. Anyways, regardless.
It's always changing.
We used to have the King Dome, which is kind of very similar to the Tokyo Dome.
Okay.
Right? And I think in that era, like baseball was still kind of prevalent. But then I think once we were teenagers in like high school times, this is probably like the early 2000s, like 2004 to like 2008. I think everything switched over to football.
Yeah, like actually the first time I saw the Super Bowl, which is like the main like football game of the season.
Yeah.
I saw my first Super Bowl in 2004.
Yeah.
I think.
Was it I think it was the Steelers?
Yeah, I don't remember actually because I didn't know. I was there to like be with my friends because like so in Boston, right? So Boston is a huge sports town.
Yeah.
So like you have the Red Sox, the Patriots, the Celtics, the Bruins.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you walk outside, almost everyone is wearing some sort of sports clothing.
Yeah.
It's like one of those teams, but people just really care about it so much. So if you want to like make friends and like you wanna just hang out with people, a lot of times it revolves around sports.
You go to a sports bar.
Yeah, sports bar, or you watch like sports at home or something like that. Like one of my friends to this day who still lives in the town I grew up in, like I remember I watched so many baseball games with him and football games, and like he would talk with we would all like talk about the games and stuff together. But yeah, it was just such a huge thing.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because I never see people wearing jerseys here unless they're going to an actual baseball game.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I wonder like, but what about in Seattle? Like, do you see people wearing Mariners stuff?
Oh God, all the time. No, not Mariners stuff. Just simply Seahawks stuff.
Yeah, the football team.
You will see Seahawks, and actually the Sounders, Seattle soccer team, has gotten pretty popular. I guess they're kind of good now. So you'll see Sounders stuff every now and then, but people in Seattle are crazy about their football team.
Yeah,
like you go on the freeway or you're driving around, you'll see people who've like painted their cars.
Yeah,
it'll have like a big 12.
Yeah,
or it'll have like the Seahawks logo on it.
Yeah.
And then it's super common, even in like a business environment, for people to like come in with like a Seahawks jersey.
Yeah.
On.
So why do you think it is so like, because you know baseball and American football both come from the States.
Yeah.
And for a while baseball was like the main sport, but why do you think that people tend to focus more on football now?
Do you want me to get meta about this, or just a little opinion?
Get opinion and then meta.
Okay. So in my opinion, I think that football is just frankly more fun to watch.
It is more fun to watch.
There's just more happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like that's simply it.
Yeah.
You like a lot of the time I remember as a kid, my dad would watch baseball and he would turn on the baseball game. He'd watch like a few minutes just to see the score and then flip to another channel and then watch TV.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And he always did that when watching a baseball game. He would never watch like the full game. He'd just like flip. Okay, this person's up to bat, see them bat. Okay. And then the next like 4 or 5 guys don't matter. And then, you know, he'd go and, you know, watch some other TV show.
Okay.
And that you would never see that happen with football.
Yeah.
If someone's watching a football game, they're watching the whole game from start to finish.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? So I think that advertisers who are very smart people caught on to that and went, okay, everyone's paying attention to this sport. People are flipping channels on this sport. So we're going to just invest everything into this sport.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I heard from one of my friends who's a super big sports fan. Like his life is sports. Like I rarely see him not wearing like a Patriots or Red Sox outfit or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was talking about how like the NFL, the National Football League, their franchises, their teams are much more coordinated than baseball is, and so like there's more effective marketing efforts that happening. So like in baseball for a while, like just kind of naturally happened. Like there used to be a lot more teams than there were now that just kind of naturally sprung up, and then they kind of coalesced into a group kind of, but I feel like he told me that the NFL was much more planned so that you could get more advertising, you could get more.
I mean, that makes sense.
But you know what's really interesting, because you were talking about how there's more action in football. Have you been to a sumo fight here?
No.
You know what? It's funny because I feel like well, in Japan, of course, you have the whole team dynamic where the whole team works together for baseball. But if you watch a sumo wrestling match, it's really similar to baseball. In that there's very little action that happens.
That's so interesting.
Like I remember going to I went to Ryogoku and I just watched in like the nosebleed seats, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember just sitting around thinking like, okay, the two sumo, thanks man. Oh, the two sumo guys are coming up, they're ready. And they slap their thighs and then stomp. And I'm like, okay, we're ready to go. No, they take more chalk or salt and they put it on them, slap their thighs again, and then they stomp again. I'm like, they're ready to go now. No, then the like Shinto guy comes up, the referee guy comes up and says something, and then they go out into their circles and they come back and then they put on the salt or whatever they do. And it's like all this like preparation stuff. It's like a boxing match where like the ratios of rest and actual fighting are opposite, you know? Because the actual fight will take like 5-10 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's 5 minutes of preparation. And it's kind of like baseball when you think of the rhythm.
That's funny. No, that's so true though.
Yeah.
I do want to kind of talk about Japan sports though, because we had the Rugby World Championship a couple years ago, right before coronavirus.
Osaka, right?
I think it was kind of all over because like they had some games in like Fukuoka, I think also. But that was super fun to watch. I don't know if you paid attention to that at all. It was so much fun. And people were shocked that Japan's team was pretty damn good.
Yeah, for rugby, right?
Like, no one expected Japan to be good at rugby. And then we just had the soccer world champion or football world championship just last month. And again, Japan was really good at soccer.
Yeah, right.
And so I think the world's starting to realize that, like, so something that Japan's been really good at in terms of sports, but obviously this branches out more, is teamwork.
Yeah.
Like, Japan is really famous. You always see the teams that play here, and they are just so good at working together. You know, you don't like. I want to compare this to like the NBA, because when I think of like the NBA, the basketball league in America, personally, I don't really think of NBA teams.
Yeah,
like you don't think of the Lakers or the Bulls or you know, you think of individual players.
Kobe, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan.
Like, you have all these star players in the NBA, and it's like, it doesn't really matter what teams are playing, because it's like whichever team has the magic guy is going to win the game. Yeah, you know. And so it's very like, I don't want to say selfish, but I kind of feel like that's the best way to describe it.
It's like egocentric.
Yeah, it's very egocentric. Yeah. You know, you have your like team of heroes basically. But in Japan, it's like, obviously they have star players here, but like, you don't really think of the star players. You think of the team. Yeah. And I really like that that mentality.
Yeah, well, I also feel like, especially with a sport like baseball, it's really hard for an individual to shine unless they hit a home run or something like that, because you really need to have that huge coordination of your team, because if one person like falls out, then you know everything's to ruin, right? Yeah. But yeah, with basketball especially, like you just have that one guy. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. So I find that so interesting, because just like. It's so crazy, like how similar Japan can be to America at times. But then you start noticing these like really subtle things. Like, okay, Japan plays baseball, they play soccer. They actually have American football leagues here too. Right. But it's like the way they approach those teams is so different from Americans. Yeah. Like, you know, like you'll be watching a baseball game, and like even the emphasis on how they hit the ball here. Like, in America, it's all about like, yeah, we want to just load up the bases and just go for the big whammy, just get a big home run and score all the points. And like Japan, it's like, all right, you know what? Let's just get singles. Let's just be really fast, get singles, and then just like keep scoring on the bases. Wow. Yeah. Well, that was a big thing when, do you remember Ichiro?
Yeah, right.
when Ichiro came to Seattle and started playing for the Mariners, like at that time, like there was Japanese players coming to America, but this was like really the first time like a really famous Japanese player, because like Ichiro was like big in Japan. He was like the #1 player.
Yeah.
So this guy was so hyped up, and I remember when he came to the Mariners, a lot of fans were like, "Oh man, this guy's like the best player in Japan, so this guy must be hitting home runs all the time."
Yeah.
And when he started playing, everyone's like, "Why is this guy just hitting singles and doubles the whole time?" And then as the season went out, it's like, "Oh, this guy always hits singles and doubles."
Yeah, right.
Like he never gets out. He's just always like so consistent in what he does. And so I think that's like when people started kind of realizing like Japan's just playing its own game over here.
Dude, it's interesting you say that, because that makes a lot of sense, you know, like that way it's less about one person getting the glory and it's about the whole team succeeding.
Well, yeah, and it makes it more consistent.
Yeah.
Right? You're not waiting for the next big score like, "Oh, we need a home run just to get back." It's like, "Okay, we'll just keep doing this."
Yeah.
And you know, it works.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's funny though, because I feel like sometimes it doesn't always work. Like I remember when Daisuke Matsuzaka came to the Red Sox, and that was around the time when I went to Japan for the first time. I went to Osaka, and I told people I'm from Boston, and they were like, "Oh, Matsuzaka Daisuke." And I was like, "Yeah, great." You know, and then he leaves after like a year or something because he doesn't fit well, you know.
Yeah.
But Shohei Ohtani did pretty well, I think. Like he was there for a while, you know.
Yeah.
Like I remember coming back, and like my friend Chris, oh man, Chris, I miss you. So like we would watch the games together. He'd just be like, "Ohtani, Arthur, that's your guy, right?" "Ohtani, let's go." Yeah.
Oh man.
So why? So like, what did you actually end up explaining, like your meta analysis?
A little bit. When I was talking about the advertising thing.
Yeah.
I'll get a little bit deeper though.
Yeah.
Here we're gonna dive a little bit past the skin and get into. I'm gonna talk about American culture and how it's shifted in the past 10 years.
I'm looking forward to hearing this.
So I think social media. Let me get my imaginary tinfoil hat.
Tinfoil hat. Can you explain what a tinfoil hat is?
So okay,
because no one's gonna know what that is.
We're getting super far down.
Yeah.
Okay, so tinfoil hat is kind of a joke because there are people who have severe mental illnesses, usually something like schizophrenia, that think the government is spying on them with psychic powers.
Yeah,
and it's believed that aluminum stops psychic powers from going through.
Yeah.
So people made, and I'm not making this up, people have literally done this. They've made a hat made out of tinfoil. So tinfoil is like aluminum. Yeah, it's like cooking foil. Yeah. And so that's where that term comes from.
Yeah. So, but it basically now, when you say tinfoil hat, let me put my tinfoil hat, means it describes someone who is way too suspicious of like the society. Like basically, like in America, there's actually quite a lot of people who believe that like Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden are like lizard people who like kill children and eat their body parts or something.
Yeah.
And like, so that those people are like way out of line. So those are tinfoil hat people because they're like, "Oh, the government's spying on us," you know.
So it's become a very loose term now. Where you say something that's like, you don't really have any evidence for this, but you're just gonna say it.
Yeah.
So that's like a situation you would use.
Yeah. When you're more suspicious than you need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But moving back to the topic.
So you're gonna put your tinfoil hat on.
Okay. Let me get that on.
Okay.
Tinfoil hat's on. So social media has made people's attention spans like goldfish.
Yeah, 15 seconds.
And because of that, advertisers have realized no one has the attention span to watch baseball anymore.
Yeah, right.
They need the play-by-play thing that football has, where it's just like, "All right, here we go, throw the ball. Oh, he caught it. Oh, wow, everyone goes crazy." And then it's like, "All right, rest."
To the next part.
And then you do it again.
Yeah.
And it's like those buildups mesh really well with eating junk food. And what do you eat when you're eating football? Or you're eating football. God, I'm already drunk. When you're watching football, you eat a lot of junk food. So it's like it like times up with these like sugar rushes.
Okay.
Right? And so because society has kind of shifted over to that when it comes to sports, that's why baseball is not a thing anymore. Because when you're watching baseball, it's like, what do you even eat when you watch baseball?
Yeah, right.
Nuts?
Yeah, because it's, like Cracker Jacks, man.
What is a Cracker Jack?
Yeah. Do you not know what a Cracker Jack is?
I don't know what a Cracker Jack is.
Okay, good.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, but it's true. It's like, I feel like, so for me, like when I would watch baseball games, it'd always be like hot dogs or Cracker Jacks, like popcorn, right? But when I think about football,
it's like nachos, beer, popcorn, everything.
Yeah, right? But that makes a lot of sense because like really with baseball, right? If you're going to be there, you actually have to be attentive because for the majority of the time, there's not much action.
Yeah.
And like with football, there's more action. But personally for me, the sport that has the most action is soccer. Like actually for me, I think soccer has more action than football.
If you're
minute by minute.
If you're talking strictly movement, I would agree.
Yeah.
Personal bias is showing.
Okay.
I don't like soccer because not much happens with the action. Because it's like you'll have some guys kick the ball, everyone runs over here. Another guy kicks the ball back, everyone runs over here. 2 hours later, it's 0-0.
See, but see what I like about soccer that's different from football. So football is nice because it's like you have that intense action of like 100%. We're going to put out this attack on the other team.
Yeah,
and it's like really high energy. Everything happens, you know, and then it's stopped. Okay, let's line up again and let's just wait a minute or two, and then we're going to do the same thing again. So it's like 100% or 0%, 100% or 0%.
Yeah.
But like with soccer, what happens is like you'll have the teams like kicking the balls between each other, trying to like feel out the other team, what they're going to do. So I feel like there's a lot more like in the midst of the action strategy happening. You can kind of see what the teams are thinking and stuff. Whereas with baseball, it's like everyone's doing the hand signals while everyone's not moving.
Just like flashing like gang signs between the pitcher and the catcher.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I mean, so that's kind of what I like about soccer because it's like I'm watching the ball move and I'm watching how they're kicking it. So I'm like engaged in what they're thinking about too.
Yeah.
But that's just maybe it's because I was born in Germany too. Who knows?
Yeah. It is kind of funny though. So watching this World Cup has been really entertaining because. So I'm gonna make a broad statement.
Yeah.
Okay. America doesn't care about soccer.
Yeah, in general, yeah.
Yeah. I would say out of the top sports, right? I'm talking about American football, baseball, basketball, soccer. What would you consider anything else?
Curling. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay, yeah. So like there's like 4 major sports probably in the world. Maybe you would include rugby, including that, but I think rugby and football are kind of interchangeable.
Yeah.
But it's like you have these major sports in the world, and most of the world really cares about soccer or how they call it football. But America, America doesn't.
Yeah.
Right. It's probably ranked the lowest out of like the major sports. I would say American football's at the top, followed by basketball, baseball, and then soccer.
Yeah.
Maybe soccer's overtaken baseball recently.
Yeah.
But it's still like bottom level. But we had the World Championship and
World Championship for what? For
soccer.
Soccer, okay.
We just had it last month. And I think America I didn't pay much attention. I'm gonna confess.
You American.
But America played against England.
Yeah.
And England is like really into football. And either they won or they tied against England.
Wow.
I don't remember the exact score, but like a couple of my friends who are British were really upset about this. It's just like, this is bullshit. Like, we care so much about soccer. You guys don't care at all, but your team's able to do like the same. Like, why don't you care about your team? It's like, I don't know.
Because America's
like
better. That's why. That's why. That's simply why.
Yeah. So it's really funny to me.
Yeah.
That I almost kind of feel bad for the soccer team, like the national soccer team.
Yeah, because it's like they're doing pretty well, but they're in a country where no one cares about it. No,
like,
I get that. Yeah, dude. So it's it's really interesting seeing how like the ties of like sports teams have changed, because it's funny because you talked about the 4 major sports there. You didn't mention ice hockey, and that's because probably
no one cares.
But in Boston they do, because we have the Bruins.
Oh,
That's actually I've been to a few Bruins games too.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a ton of action happening in that, like way more than football. Actually, Bruins games are super exciting because everyone breaks out into fights every 5 minutes.
So I was actually about to say, I actually really enjoy watching hockey.
Yeah.
But it's mostly because of the fights.
Yeah, right.
It's funny watching people get angry and hit each other.
Yeah.
That's probably why football's so popular.
Yeah, right? Yeah, but in football, at least it's a little bit more organized. Whereas, like, it's funny because
fights is just like, all right, you bumped into me, screw you, and just starts
seriously, and they're wearing all that padded gear so they can't really hit each other. Just like, oh man. Okay, well, yeah. I think this is a good place to end.
Yeah.
This, but dude, awesome. What do you want to talk about next time?
I don't know.
We can think about that, man.
Fair enough.
Get some time. Cool,
yeah.
Man. All right, see ya.
See ya.